Hello everyone, and thank you for clicking on another one of my videos. I am Screen Scene Guru coming at you with another X-Men reviews. I have finished up the 4th and 5th animated series, as well as the current X-Men 97. There's a whole lot of episodes here, guys, so I'm just going to give a quick shout out to a few of my favorite episodes. So starting off, I've got a list jotted down right here. Starting with season 4, I've got episode 6 and 7. Those are titled Sanctuary Part 1 and Sanctuary Part 2. I thought these were really fascinating episodes, concepts straight out of the comic book. So going into episode 6, I've got wary of battling for mutant supremacy, Magneto offers to transport all mutants to an orbiting asteroid named Asteroid M, where they can live peacefully and human-free lives. So very interesting concept. I'm sure we would like to see this in the future franchise movies, live action. That would be an awesome thing to see because we haven't gotten that yet. Going on to episode 7, Sanctuary Part 2, as Magneto plumbs helplessly to Earth, Phasbin Cortez assumes control of Asteroid M and sends hundreds of missiles towards Earth. So another fantastical two-part episode where we got a little bit of double crossing between Cortez and Magneto. He sent him, of course, to basically plummet to Earth and die, but the electromagnetic fields of the Earth replenished Magneto. So that was really fascinating to see. Going on my list, I've also got episode 13. So let me go down to episode 13. Lotus and the Steel. So Wolverine heads to Japan for some solitude and soul searching, but he finds his Japanese friends under siege by a gang of bandits. So I really like this episode. The introduction of the Silver Samurai. For those of you that have watched, I believe it was the 2014 The Wolverine, you guys got to see the live action Silver Samurai. Really awesome episode. I highly recommend. It was also kind of cool flashback of when Wolverine was kind of just solo storyline. Of course, Jubilee went to go bring him back to the X-Mansion, but I like that episode a lot. Going on from episode 13, I've got episode 17, which was titled Family Ties. This was Quicksilver, one of the mutant team X-Factor, and his sister, Scarlet Witch, one of the Avengers, learn from their dying father that they were adopted. Magneto, who is looking for his estranged wife, may hold the clue to the Maximoff twins' past. So very interesting episode, Family Ties, where Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch confronted Magneto about their origins. So I like this episode a lot. Again, hopefully these are stories we're going to be getting in the MCU with them rebooting X-Men. So really hoping that they're going to do that up. Moving on to season 5. I've got a few episodes pulled up of season 5 because this, of course, was their last season in the 90s, the canceled season. So starting off, I got episode 6, which was titled Bloodlines. Nightcrawler finally meets his mother, who gave him up, Mystique. So this is a really awesome episode. Going into more of the origins of just how related the X-Men really are. A lot of people didn't know Nightcrawler is Mystique's son, so this is cool to go into that in the animated cartoon. They tried to shorten up some of the storylines. I know there were 3 and sometimes 4-part episodes, but those spanned the comic story of 10 or 12 issues in 4-part episodes. So Stan Lee tried to, instead of getting people to, buy comics every week, back in the 90s when the show was coming out, they tried to cram in several storylines into weekly episodes. So that was very fascinating to see. I've also got on my list episode 11, which is titled Old Soldiers. So while visiting the grave of a friend in an army cemetery in France, Wolverine remembers a mission he did for him while battling the Nazis and Red Skull with none other than Captain America on his side. So I thought this was a really fascinating episode with Wolverine and Captain America fighting in Paris, 1940s. So really cool historical team up with, of course, I love it when Captain America shows up in these things. So moving on from episode 11, I've also got episode 12, which is titled Descent. The origin of Mr. Sinister is revealed as Professor Xavier attempts to stop Essex before he goes too far. So I thought this was a fascinating episode. They go into the 1800s, and when Dr. Essex met Charles Darwin and debated whether or not mutations could happen in a single generation. So he was kind of like Charles before Charles. Even one of Charles's ancestors that was a doctor tried to stop him, chased him across the world. But I thought that was very fascinating. Episode 12. And then going on to episode 14, that was Graduation Day, the infamous finale for the original series. On the verge of Magneto's final stand against humans, the X-Men request him to save a dying Professor X. What choice will he make? Of course, this was the really sad, emotional episode where we lost Charles. Well, he almost died, but he ended up going with the Shi'ar Empire out to space. And of course, the show ended with what will the X-Men do now? For years, it was off air until 2024 when they announced they were rebooting, or not rebooting, but giving a final season to X-Men with 97, because of course it ended in 97 without a full season. It was 14 episodes, but depending on some of the later seasons, like season 3 and 4, they were sometimes 18 episodes. So they're quite long. So some could say they stopped it halfway and never got a finishing of episodes. But going into X-Men 97, I recently binged it in the last 2 days, guys, and I had a lot of fun watching it. It immediately picks up right after the events of X-Men Season 5 ending, so I thought that was really great. So going into my list of episodes, I've got, of course, episode 1, titled To Me, My X-Men. Cyclops reacts to finding the source of the new anti-mutant technology. So, of course, we're dealing with the FOA, I believe, FOH, Friends of Humanity, dealing with Sentinel technology, trying to upgrade themselves to deal with the mutant problem. So I thought that was very fascinating. Hints of the previous show that we got, back in the 90s, but they just went a lot further with this adaptation of it. I thought was interesting. Another episode I really liked was episode 5. So going down, that was Remember It. As Genosha prepares to join the UN, select members of the team head to the island nation to be honorees. Back at the mansion, a behind-the-scenes press event risk airing the X-Men dirty laundry. So this was, of course, when the Sentinels attacked Genosha. There was a big festival party going on, and then, of course, the tragedy struck, and we lost Gambit. So that was very shocking to see. And we thought Magneto was gone too, until they whipped him out a few episodes later, being just, captive prisoner. So going on from episode 5, I've got episode 7, which is titled Bright Eyes. So Cyclops focuses the X-Men on finding Bolivar Trask. However, when the team locates a Sentinel inventor, they realize that they all have been played by a mastermind. So this is a very interesting turn in the series where we got the true villain revealed, because of course we knew Bolivar Trask. He'd showed up several times before. He had enhancements. He'd been basically turned himself into a robot in the original series, but we always knew he worked for someone. He was a lackey for a bigger threat like Mr. Sinister or someone else. So going on from Bright Eyes, episode 7, I've also got the season finale, which was episode 10, Tolerance is Extinction, part 3. The X-Men's dream is put to the test as mutant-human relations reach a tipping point. So very fascinating. The season threat was humanoid sentinels, which I thought that was kind of interesting for them to deploy humans upgrading themselves to become robotic, enhanced to take on mutants. But at the same time, I thought it was almost like a downgrade from the building size sentinels that they had already, 30 feet tall. Some of them were, well equipped. So I thought this was kind of interesting that they played up one of the villains of the series was a technopath. I believe they go into his name. Let's see if they have it right here. Nope, I'm not seeing it. Okay, that's fine. But the technopath in the series I thought was very interesting in the way that they just went with someone being possessed. They basically did the premise of Master Mold returning, or Nimrod, if you will. Someone going back through history and changing a mutant's DNA to basically create a vessel for Master Mold, who is the leader of the Sentinels. So I thought that was very interesting. Bastion, that's what his name is. Bastion was the villain for this season. I've never heard of Bastion. I don't know if that's a popular comic villain, but I thought he sucked. The season overall was great. The visuals, the music was great, but the last 2 episodes introducing Bastion as being a very big-time villain, I thought kind of was weird. And also the human Sentinels were kind of off. I mean, I felt like they had elements from Hydra introduced, the secret weapon you wouldn't expect humans to be Sentinels, but at the same time they lost a bit of gravitas in a way. I know they played up the Sentinels were stronger, faster, kind of like androids from Dragon Ball Z. That's basically what I got from it. They kind of ripped off Dragon Ball in a way, but I really liked the X-Men series overall, the 5 seasons, and X-Men 97. So overall, I give it a very high praise review. It ended with them, of course, I believe they were trying to destroy Asteroid M. They brought back Asteroid M, which was always a fascinating point in the show and in the comics. And of course, they turn the power grid off in the series. They take humanity back to the Stone Age. And then, of course, they threaten shooting missiles at the Asteroid M to knock it out of the sky, ultimately leading to them time traveling, which is very interesting. At the end of the episode, when the asteroid is about to hurtle into the Earth, disappears, they jump forward 6 months, and Forge is still looking for Storm, of course, and the other X-Men, but we see Bishop return from the future to help Forge. A lot of interesting stuff going on here. I meant to get into the Madeline Pryor storyline, but that I don't really want to confuse the audience. For those of you that watched the show, you are well aware there were 2 Jean Greys. That, of course, Scott's son, Nathan, got sent to the future and became Cable, and later returned. They had a family episode, which is awesome to see. But very interesting storyline. I hope that they're going to do season 2 and 3. It sounds like they've been greenlit, but they don't know what the stories are or where they want to go with the series now that they're going to have a new showrunner. So that's very fascinating as well. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are on X-Men. X-Men 97, the new series, came out in 2024. These are all out on Disney Plus. If you guys are a Disney Plus subscriber, you guys can go on there and check them all out. I've already reacted to the X-Men Wolverine series. I believe X-Men Generations. So this is pretty much me caught up all on X-Men stuff, content. So make sure to leave a like, comment down below what are your thoughts, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. You can follow me on Instagram and on Threads at Scene Screen Guru. But until next time, guys, thank you for clicking on another one of my videos, and I'll check you out next time. Bye bye. Have a good one.